Hello! Welcome, one and all, to this. I am so sorry. This is my second attempt at doing this because the first one fucked up massively because I'm a fucking idiot. I'm trying to stream through Streamlabs, and I maybe talked and gave properly detailed, incredible analysis for about 5 minutes before realising, like the fucking idiot that I am, that the audio wasn't linked up. So I was just talking to nobody. And it's a shame because, oh my God, did I give some serious insight. What a fucking fanny I am. Right, okay, let's have a quick chat about this. Welcome one and all to this. The reason that I'm doing this is because a lot of people have come over and they've been following from Stretford Paddock and all the other stuff. They know I'm a massive Man United fan, and so they've been asking for more Man United based content, and I watched for the first time ever a Mark Goldbridge thing, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the video looks great, but that man talks shite. So I thought, let's do it. Let's have a go. Hello to Neil Webbo in the chat. You can hear me now. I fixed it. What an idiot I am. It's because I'm 32 and this YouTube thing flies me by. Yeah, if you comment, then you could, whoop, you see? Look at that, floating there. How cool. So, welcome one and all to this. What we're going to be talking about very briefly is we're going to be talking about the lead up to United and Chelsea. You can ask me anything that you want in the live chat and we'll have a little discussion about it. We're going to be looking at tactics, we're going to be looking at formations, starting 11, how it's going to line up, how it's going to play out, maybe throw a little prediction in there as well. So, we're looking at here, I think it's a really interesting game for United because these are two teams with very similar ambitions. It's two teams that both want to get that top 4 place as a minimum. I think that it's two teams. Top 4 is your absolute minimum requirement. Top 4 is what they are aiming for. And I think that if you're being realistic, it's also two teams that aren't going to be realistically looking to get a major trophy this season. You know, I think the Premier League is probably out of United's and Chelsea's grasp. And the reason for that, for United, I think, is a recruitment thing. I think we still haven't got the running of the club to anywhere near the level that it needs to be before we can realistically challenge. And with Chelsea, even though they've brought in literally 20 on new players, they've brought in something crazy like 7 new signings. All first teamers as well, by the way, apart from like Malang Sarr, who's like one for the future. The rest, you're looking at first team players. For me, getting all those players to gel in the same team and to form a title-winning team within the first season, I think is too big of an ask. I think you will start to see a really dangerous Chelsea in February, March, when everyone's had time to play together, when you've got the understanding between Pulisic and Havertz and Ziyech and Werner up top. But to ask them to come straight away into a team and get that understanding in October and November is just too much. And that's when they're going to drop points. You know, they're going to be out of the title race realistically by January. And that's what we're seeing at the moment with Chelsea. If you look, they've drawn 4 out of their last 5 games, and aside from a walloping of Crystal Palace, who breezed past United, I was going to say bros past United, then that's not the past tense of breeze. You know, it's aside from that, Chelsea have been stuttering, I would say. Now, if you look at United, I mean, we've had some very high-profile losses against Palace, to Spurs. You look at the Brighton game where we very much got away with it. If you'd have given me this game 2 weeks ago before the international break, I will be shitting my pants. I think we will get destroyed. But it's amazing what a funny old game football is, because you look at how we played against Newcastle when we were dominant, and you look at how we played against PSG, where, quite frankly, that's the best United performance that I've seen in a year. And all of a sudden, you start to get a bit of confidence. You start to look at this team, and there's an awful lot to like again. You know, it's interesting. In terms of how this is going to play out, one of the things to remember is that we've got quite a good record against Chelsea at home. I think we are unbeaten in 7 or something like that. So we are used to getting results here. Whether or not that'll matter too much, you know, there's no fans and the atmosphere is different, and we're seeing a lot more, we're seeing a lot more sort of away results. Maybe. But, I mean, I think that we can go into this match confident, you know. You look at the midweek fixtures in the Champions League. United got a great result where we looked very much the better team against last season's finalist. And then you look at Chelsea, who stuttered against Sevilla. You know, to be honest with you, they were lucky not to lose that game. So I think we're coming into this with better form. Ben Sorvel makes a very good point. He says we're plop at home. I love the adjective plop. We're plop at home for some reason, though. That's the worry. Yeah, it is, and I can't seem to work out exactly why we're shit at home. Do you know what it is, personally, Ben? Is I don't think that sometimes teams can be crap at home and it becomes a psychological barrier, and their own fans start to get on their own, you know, the backs and things like that, and it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But because our fans aren't in the stadium at the moment, I don't think that it's necessarily a thing about playing at home itself. I think the problem was a formation that just wasn't designed to, like, the thing is with Solskjaer is that he has been steadfast in playing a 4-2-3-1, and you cannot have, if you are having the two in the middle of that 4-2-3-1, you cannot have Matic and Pogba. You just can't, because Matic is, like, I think Matic is a really good player, but he is fucking immobile. He's really slow and ponderous, and to get the best out of Matic, you need legs around him. Now, Pogba is somebody who has got incredible technique and athleticism, but he kind of can be caught out defensively, and he can leave Matic isolated and exposed, which he does regularly. I'm not a fan of Pogba and Matic together in that pivot. I think it's irresponsible, is what it is. It's like driving without a seatbelt. It makes me panicky. Now, when you look to the formation change and you had Fred and McTominay in the middle, specifically against PSG, oh my God, how much more energy, how much more dynamism is there in that midfield? It's just unbelievable. It's huge. So I think, I mean, look, no one's going to say that Fred and McTominay are as good at individual players as Pogba and Matic, but the sum of their parts is far greater. They are way more mobile, they offer way more bite in that midfield, and that lets our attacking players have a bit more freedom and a bit more creativity, and we are a lot more sturdy defensively, which is our big thing. Electro Notch says, I worry about the left-hand side of our defence. Shaw better in a central 3. Tellers excels in attack. And Havertz, Mount and Ziyech all good down the right. Brandon possible starter. And then Ben has pointed out, just before I've been able to, that Brandon played for the under-23s last night. I'll tell you who else played in the under-23s last night. The new signing Pelestri, who was, I didn't see the game because I've got shit to do, but apparently Pelestri was pretty fucking anonymous. I think, to be honest with you, with that kid, I think it is going to be at least 12 months before we even see a glimmer of what he's capable of. I think it's very much a signing for the future. I know that they've talked about him going straight into the first team. I can't see that, mate. I can't see that happening. Ben says, Fred and McSauce are workhorses for sure. I think Pogba and Matic should play together, but only in a diamond. Yes, I've been advocating a diamond for ages and ages and ages. The problem with a diamond, Ben, is when it comes to that number 10. Because naturally, you would put naturally, you would put Fernandes in that number 10, the top of the diamond. However, the top of the diamond is absolutely pivotal when it comes to pressing. They are usually in a diamond midfield. The number 10 is the person that instigates the pressing and is basically the main kind of haranguer, if you like. And that just isn't Fernandez's game. Will he track back? Yes. Will he press? Yes. He's much better on the ball, though. And I think that, to be honest with you, that's Van der Beek's game. So, I don't... But Solskjaer doesn't seem to fancy him. He doesn't seem to fancy him. You know when United briefly toyed with a diamond midfield and they had Lingard at the number 10 and everyone was like, oh, why the fuck are they playing Lingard? He's useless. And he is. The reason that they were playing him is because the one thing that Lingard is really good at is instigating a press. He knows exactly when to press, how to press, which passing lanes to cut off, which angles to cut off. He's actually pretty good at that. Is he good with the ball at his feet? No, he's dog shit. But that is playing to his strengths. For me personally, I have actually set up how I think United should play. This isn't, by the way, my predicted lineup. This isn't what I think is going to happen. This is, if I was the manager of United, this is how I would look to play this game. So, look at that. How great is that? So, I would play basically a 3-5-2, slightly modified, okay? So I expect Chelsea to line up in a 4-2-3-1. And the good thing about a 3-5-2 is that it will allow for Lindelöf to step forward and basically take the ball off Havertz in a more, how would you say, proactive way. So the thing is with the 3-5-2, one centre back, usually the middle centre back, can push out and push up and mark a number 10. And also as well, Fred can drop back, and we can basically take Havertz out of the game. The wide areas, again, Shaw is, you always get the best out of Luke Shaw when you put him at the... I'm just checking the comments here, and K-Doll has put, rumour has it Freddie has completed Football Manager 2020. I fucking love a bit of Football Manager 2020. I fucking love a bit of Football Manager. In fact, when we get Football Manager 2021 out in November, I think I'm gonna take over United, and I might make a little YouTube series of it. I'm obsessed with tactics, man. I love it. So, next graph says, wow, this team has nothing, lol. Well, it doesn't have nothing, does it, really? Because you have got Telles who was very impressive against PSG. I'm be honest with you, I'm not liking the look of the right-hand side with Wan-Bissaka and Fred. But if Chelsea are going to play Pulisic, then it's a good way of negating that threat. Also, as well, this can be a 3-5-2 formation where you have 5 players behind without the ball. So when United don't have the ball, you have pretty much all the midfield apart from Fernandes dropping back and kind of forming that block. But when we do have the ball, we can turn this into you can have 4 at the back. You can keep Wan-Bissaka back because he's much better defensively, and Telles can have more freedom to roam and go forward and create a numerical superiority down the left-hand side, knowing full well that Shaw has got his back. It also means that Fred can move deeper, which is where he plays better, and Fred as well, right? So there's Gavin's mentioned Van der Beek and McTominay pivot for me with Bruno in front of them in a 5-3-2 with Marcus playing off Cavani for me. Cavani is a pressing machine. Me and Gavin are very similar with this actually. We've chosen similar routes here, Gavin, but I'll explain why I've chosen what I have as opposed to choosing what you have. So McTominay, I think, is a good player, physical, always gives 100%. But Fred, I think, has a bit more energy, a bit more dynamism. He's better carrying the ball and moving forward, as you saw against PSG. He's really good at carrying from defence and pushing out and starting those attacks. And I think he's got an awful lot of energy. The worry is set pieces. And with somebody like McTominay, he's a big old lad. He's, 6'2", 6'3". Fred is like a Brazilian midget. There's not really an awful lot to Fred, is there? And Van der Beek's not exactly the biggest either. So you do worry whether or not we would be losing to set pieces. However, having said that, with the inclusion of Alex Telles, you do get a player who's very good in the air. His jumping is insane, despite the fact he's only about 5'10". He's very good in the air as Telles. So, the reason that I've chosen Fred over McTominay is, like I say, a bit more dynamism, a bit better on the ball and carrying the ball forwards. Also as well, Gavin says Fred's tenacity could murder Jorginho. Yeah, that's why I've kind of gone for this. Because, look, if you're playing 4-2-3-1, which is what I expect Chelsea to play, then that 2 at the best is going to be Jorginho and Kovacic. Now, I don't think they'll play Kante because he played against Sevilla midweek. And I think as well, with Kovacic, he tends to favour him in big games, and Kovacic is a really good mobile, sort of pressing, aggressive player, and I think that you need to match that mobility. I just think with McTominay might get a little bit lost in this one. It's a tactical battle, isn't it? And I think that that's what Fred excels at. Also as well, the reason that I have decided that I would want to start Greenwood ahead of Cavani is, Cavani is a great player, pressing machine. I think that Cavani would improve any team just sort of having him. Even though he's 33, I think he's still got it up here. He's never really relied on pace. It's always been movement, pressing, work ethic. It's never been like, you get some players where they lose a yard of pace and they're fucked. Cavani's not like that, and he'll make a lot of chances for himself. However, I think that coming into a game of this magnitude to be the focal point for pressing, I think it's too much. I wouldn't be surprised if he got 20 minutes off the bench for Greenwood. But Greenwood's going to be fresh. Greenwood hasn't played for England. Greenwood hasn't played midweek. That is a fresh player. Rashford has played midweek, but you can't drop Rashford the way that he's playing. Holy shit. And also as well, it's a little known fact that if you drop Rashford, 1 million children go hungry. So, what are you, a Tory, eh? God bless Marcus Rashford, by the way. Just a little time out of this to say that Marcus Rashford makes me genuinely proud to be a Man United fan. Juan Mata as well, with his charitable stuff. But oh my God, does it not warm the cockles of your heart to see fucking Liverpool fans, Man City fans, all coming together and talking about what a superb player and indeed human being that this bloke is. Fair play, Marcus Rashford. I bloody love yous. Another thing about this as well, aside from the fact that Cavani hasn't played and got into our rhythm yet, is if you look at Greenwood and Rashford, they are 2 players that will be able to split and occupy wide areas. And for them to be able to split and occupy the wide areas means that Fernandes and Van der Beek will be able to flood the middle. And all of a sudden, you're going to have a front five, if you like, of Telles, Rashford, Greenwood, Fernandes and Van der Beek, all causing havoc, picking up pockets of space. I think they're very complementary to each other and the way that they play. Let's see. Let's read some comments. Gavin says, yeah, I agree. I think Fred's tenacity could murder Jorginho. Yeah, we covered that. Very good point as well. Jorginho is an excellent player, technically very good. He needs to be hassled and harangued. And I think with Van der Beek and Fred, you get an awful lot of energy there in order to do that. Let's have a quick look here. Ben Sorvell says Fred or Van der Beek give you much more line-breaking passes than McSauce, so offensively you're better off defending, say PSG away, McSauce all the way. Yeah, absolutely, Ben. I mean, one of the things that you've got to remember with this is that we want to go out and win this game. You know? Like, it's PSG away. Let's be honest, we would have all taken a draw. Everyone would have taken a draw. To be perfectly fair, hand on heart, I would have taken not getting twatted off the park. Like if you said to me, "Oh, it's gonna be 2-0, but you're gonna look really plucky," based on the start of the season, I'll be like, yeah, all right, okay. So to see them come away with a win and to be so dominant was. It was brilliant. But yeah, we want to go out and win this. And Van der Beek's a much more attacking threat than McTominay. Electronotch says, good chance Ole would employ this, though. Not sure he'll keep out Maguire and not start Cavani. I have sort of, from my cursory looks and stuff, Maguire's not going to start. If he does start, I would personally start him at the expense of Lindelof, because one thing that Harry Maguire is good at lots of things, but one thing he's good at is Harry Maguire is somebody who likes to defend from the front foot. So you will see in a game time and time again, you will see Harry Maguire charging out to stop the attack at the first port of call. Harry Maguire will quite often make a challenge just as a defender's receiving a ball, in a number 10 position. And so that would be really effective towards nullifying Kai Havertz. Now, Havertz hasn't really started the season on fire, but I am a huge Bundesliga fan. Hello to San Pauli. I'm a huge Bundesliga fan, and I used to make a point of watching Leverkusen games just because Havertz was playing. He is a baller. When he finds his feet, when he suddenly starts to click with his teammates and stuff, and bear in mind, his position, a number 10 position, you're the creator, you're the facilitator. You have got to know, you've got to develop that telepathic understanding, that sixth sense, and it's going to take time. He's one of those players, Havertz, who everyone's going to write off because he's not scored 20 goals in, fucking March or whatever, provided 20 assists. He's not even worth 90 million quid. Who the fuck is he? But give him time and he will become a fucking demon. He's a great player. Absolutely great. Let's see. Gavin Stockhill says, Fred is our Kante, in my opinion. Very underrated, and he's great on both feet, unlike a Pogba. I agree with you. I think when Fred was brought to United, let's be fair, he's not worth 52 million quid, but there's not much you can do about that. United overplay for players, go figure. Do you know what I mean? He is great in a team that presses. He offers an awful lot of energy. He offers an awful lot of dynamism. He can pass a ball. He can receive a ball. He can make runs in between lines and stuff. And he's great at transitions. And for a counter-attacking United team that loves counter-attacks, to be able to have a player that breaks it up deep in defence and can take the ball 15 yards and then spray it in either direction and to start a counter-attack is lethal. He doesn't get enough credit, Fred, in my opinion. Next, Gav says, Greenwood, Van der Beek, Shaw, and Tuanzebe don't make my team. Well, I mean, there's arguments for them. It depends what formation you're playing. I think that in order to get the best out of both Shaw and Telles, you have to play like this. Telles is really good going forward. He ain't so great going back. Shaw is good as part of a back five, but on his own, on the left side, he's a bit of a fucking donkey at the best of times. I mean, you've seen him at the beginning. The thing is with Shaw is that he is more than capable of having a run of games where you look and you kid yourself into thinking, holy shit, this guy is good. But also, he is capable of some fucking howling games. Really bad. When he let the ball in and scored an own goal against Newcastle, I wasn't even surprised. I was like, yeah, it's Luke Shaw. Yeah, of course it is. You know, him again. What a fucking surprise. Greenwood, for me, I think is fresh. I think he's a fresh player. He's not played in a little while. We don't really know the issue towards that, but I think that he's worthy of inclusion. Van der Beek is one that, for whatever reason, is not starting. This is a great game for him to start. I would take Van der Beek over Pogba. And I'm going to say something to you now, to everybody that's watching, and I reckon this is going to kick off in the comments. If in the comments I'm being a bellend, then please tell me that I'm being a bellend, because I'm more than happily have a chat with you about it. I think it's about time that we all come to the conclusion that we are a better team without Pogba in the starting 11. I'm sorry, don't shoot me, don't go for me. I'm just saying, Pogba is a great player with many qualities, but I think that you get those qualities with Fernandes and you don't get the, dare I say, the fucking hassle that comes along with Pogba. I love Paul Pogba. I think he's a great player, so technically gifted, but you always get the sense that he's going to do something fucking stupid, lose the ball, and we're going to concede. You don't get that with Fernandes. And it looks like you don't get it with Van der Beek either. Give me a quick drink. Tuanzebe. It's interesting because, let's be fair, against PSG, what an incredible player. He's just had 12 months out, though. So maybe it is the case that Maguire will come back in and Lindelof will go alongside him and they'll give him a bit of a break to, to sort of guard him against injury again. I hadn't really considered that, but now that we say it, that does seem like a reasonable thing to do, doesn't it? Ben Sorvel, very quickly. Ben Sorvel says, I'm expecting Lamps to play a back three like he did in the FA Cup semi. He's only ever beat us with that formation. Lost every time he's played 4-2-3-1, I think. Maybe, yeah. But then how do Chelsea line up with the back three? I imagine that you would have Zuma, you would have Thiago Silva, and you would have either Christensen or Rudiger. Now, I don't think he'll play Rudiger because Rudiger is being slammed for being shit. So I think it might be Christensen, who isn't much better. And then you would have Chilwell on the left and you would have Reece James on the right. But that would mean that you're obviously going to go with Jorginho and Kovacic in the middle. That would mean that Chelsea's super attacking fucking threat is limited to 3. So who's he going to start? You know what I mean? Is he going to play Havertz in the number 10? If he does, then is there a space for Pulisic? If he plays Pulisic in the number 10, it's not Pulisic's natural position, and Pulisic is going to want to drift out wide as he naturally does and occupy weird spaces, and Kovacic and Jorginho aren't exactly players that will get forward. Kovacic might do a bit, but Jorginho certainly isn't going to be popping up outside the box. And then who are you going to have up front? Unless he plays with 2 just behind Werner and has Pulisic and Havertz. But even then, that doesn't really feel like a natural fit for me. And then what about Ziyech? Does he put Ziyech on? I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting thought, that. Maybe, because the thing is when you're playing against a back three who are going to have the numerical superiority in midfield, then you saw it with Conte's Chelsea. The best way to play against a back three is to employ a back three and sort of go man for man. So maybe he will, but then it means Lampard has got a huge decision about who he omits from that starting forward. Next gaff says, let's quickly have a look. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire, Telles, McTominay, Fred, Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Cavani. Any day over Rashford and Greenwood. He can score from header, outside box, from everywhere. Yeah, but he doesn't know the team. He's been in training, a week, 2 weeks? He needs time to gel. Also, having Telles just as a left back with Lindelof as protection would literally give me nightmares. It would terrify the living shit out of me. Electronox, Rashford is king of the schools and king of Paris in 1 week. I work in food production for a French school. Weird coincidence. Yeah, I love the man. I can't stop beaming about. I feel like a proud parent. Gavin Stockhill says, in Cavani's last 3,487 minutes of football, he has a total of 42 goal involvements. He's still an animal. In 38 games, 42 goal involvements. Yeah, I mean, I think that is... It's interesting, isn't it? And I think that some of it is bastardised via, like, PSG metrics, because PSG are so dominant in that league. It'd be really interesting to see how he fits into this, but I would favour a bit more mobility. Look, if we were playing a 4-2-3-1, then yes, I would say go with Cavani up front, because you need that poacher attacking focal point to knit everything together, and he can do that better than Rashford or Greenwood. In this formation, where you're having people splitting out wide so that Fernandes and Van der Beek can flood the middle, I think you favour mobility. You've got to go with Rashford and Greenwood. Ben says, how strange would it be, though, if Ole starts Cavani, who hasn't played for God knows how long, but he won't start Van der Beek, who's fit as a fiddle? I know, it's becoming infuriating now. I'd love to see Van der Beek start this game. I think he's got loads of energy. He's got loads of technical quality and ability. We saw that very briefly against Newcastle. I would love to see... I think this is exactly the kind of exactly the kind of game that Van der Beek could come on and fucking run. Gavin Stockhill says, Shaw is best at left centre-back, but I think he'll be bollocked from PSG. Axel, Maguire, Lindelof. I agree, Pogba is nowhere near as well-rounded as Van der Beek. He's amazing off the bench, though. Yes, but the thing is he going to be happy coming off the bench? I don't think he is. Pogba, for me personally, is somebody who needs to feel... I don't like to say feel like a main man, but you kind of get my drift, don't you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's going to be happy playing a bit part role. Will United want to lose him? I don't know, but I'm starting to feel like we're a better team without him, personally. We're certainly better defensively. I'm not saying that every single one of United's problems is down to Paul Pogba and his inability to track back and cover defensive positions, but it certainly contributes. Certainly. And he's not a player, by the way, that's going to change. He's not somebody that's going to suddenly develop that aspect of his game at 27. Ben Sorvel says, didn't Howson say when we got Bruno, he's Pogba's replacement? Vivid just stopped us flogging him, maybe. Yeah. Vivid, he means Van der Beek, I imagine. I don't know if he is meant to be Pogba's replacement. They're certainly not the same player. Do you know what I mean? Like, Fernandes is a classic number 10. He has played number 8 for Portugal, but you get the best out of him as number 10. And Pogba is a die-in-the-wool number 8. Do you know? So, I don't know if he is a replacement. But I would say that I am certainly coming around to the idea that that we're a better team once we have once we have Pogba not in the side. And it almost feels like sacrilege saying it. But holy shit, you can't deny the fucking... You can't deny the difference that it makes not having him in that team. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Next guy said, without Pogba, we would dree Newcastle and PSG. I think he means draw. That man can move the ball ahead. All he needs is 2 centre defensive midfielders, Fred McTominay, and only 1 striker, Cavani or Rashi. What formation are you playing there, next graph? What formation are you playing? Because for me, when you talk about 2 centre defensive midfielders and then having Pogba and Fernandes and then having 1 striker, we ain't got ourselves an awful lot of width in that team, have we, son? Electronaut says, I agree about Pogba. He's better played further up with the right workhorses behind him, and now we have alternatives to that. Yeah, I think so as well. I agree with what you're saying there. He does need workhorses, but you know, it's when you're playing Pogba that far up the pitch, though. I don't know. I think he works best as a conductor. I think he needs to be in the middle, but it's just when he does those stupid things, makes a pass that isn't on, tries to fucking skin 3 players. It's like, mate, what are you doing? It gives me a heart attack. Ben Sorvel says, Azpilicueta plays as a right centre-back. Yes, I hadn't. I'd forgotten about Azpilicueta, I'll be completely honest with you. He's a very good player, and I think that might be sensible as to how he would be looking. Next graph says Greenwood cannot be starter for at least next 2 years. No, shut up. Shut up, you done no. Mate, that's... Okay, so I completely disagree with saying Greenwood cannot be started for at least the next 2 years. He's a fucking baller. If we keep putting him in like we did with Rashford, we can forget trophies. I don't want gullible people chanting local lads over global world stars. Okay, next graph. I'm going to say this to you. You're talking shit. I respect your opinion. I respect that everybody's got a right to an opinion, but I will say this now, right? This isn't like a Brandon Williams thing where he's a local boy and we kind of overlook the fact that he might be a bit shit. Mason Greenwood is one of the best young players in the world. His stats last season for an 18-year-old are fucking insane. And it's not just like shit games that he's scoring in. He scores important goals. He is great with both feet. He is a natural finisher. He's clinical. He gets involved in build-up play. I really, really rate Mason Greenwood. And I think, personally, he's earned his starting position. There's no way that you can look at Mason Greenwood and say that he's there based on favouritism. He's not. He's there based on merit. He plays his arse off, and I think he's deserved it. What more could he do to deserve a starting place than rack up the goals that he's getting? Let's see. Our bench, says Gavin, is very strong now. Pogba, Mata, Martial, Cavani, James, unreal options. Van der Beek is better in my opinion than Pogba. Van der Beek favours short. He's put intrigue up there. I imagine he means intricate passes, as Pogba goes for the Hollywood pass all the time. Yeah, I think, from what I've seen, that Van der Beek is a more careful and considered option with the ball. I think Pogba, you always go, oh, what's he fucking doing? What is he doing? Oh my God. Has he just done an elastico in the middle of the park where we've only got one defence? Is he mad? You know, because that's just who he is. He's a flamboyant flair player. I think he's superb. I think he's incredibly technically gifted, but he does have the liability aspect to his game. And at what point are we all going to say, look, man, you cost us as many games as you win us? I'm just saying. Yeah, I think we've got better attacking options that we don't compromise as much defensively. But I agree with our bench. There was a time when our bench was fucking crap. We still need, in my opinion, we still need another right winger. I don't think James is club quality. I think he offers a bit going forward. I think his pace can stretch teams, but I just don't think he's technically gifted enough. Other than that, I agree with everything else. Next gaff says, Wings is overrated, copying Liverpool is stupid. We need narrow formation with only one striker and two central defenders like Juve. Right, okay, where to unpack this? So the thing is, next graph, is that if you don't have any wide players, then you leave yourself incredibly short in wide areas, which is where a lot of teams like to play now. So a lot of teams like to make a numerical superiority in a wide area. And if you don't play with any wingers, then you are going to constantly be caught short in wide areas and you're going to be fucked. Secondly, if you just play through the middle, then that makes it really, really easy for a team to play against you. Because all they're going to do is play two deep-lying players, two deep-lying sort of central defensive midfielders, and they are just going to fucking block the middle of the park. It just makes it too easy. You need to... Look, there's an old saying in football, and it's never been more apt than for what you've just said, next graph, and that is that when you have the ball, you want to make the pitch as wide as possible, and when you don't have the ball, you want to make the pitch feel as small as possible. That's an old adage that runs very true, and it is certainly apt in what you're saying, because the way that you're working things, you're going to make the pitch very small when you don't have the ball and very wide when you do. I think if you don't play with wingers in the modern game, or if you don't play with at least people who occupy wide positions, that is not to say traditional wingers, you're going to make life very difficult for yourself, and I don't think that you can challenge at the top level with a formation like that. Juventus are very much an outlier of a team because they will use players to bomb forward and occupy those wide positions. And when you are so dominant in a league like they are, you can afford to leave players out or be more creative when with your formations. Juventus certainly fucking play with wingers in Champions League, and the reason that they don't is because if they didn't, they would get mauled. Right, okay, K-Doll has said, who's the worst player you've ever seen play for Manchester United? Oh, that is a question. Do you know what? It would probably be... I know that Bebe is a fucking shorthand for shitness amongst United players, amongst United fans. David Bellion would run him close. How shit was David Bellion? Oh my God. David Bellion was at a time where everyone was like, I'll get a French striker. Henry's worked out very well. Do you remember when fucking Arsenal got Ali Adier? Fuck you, we're getting David Bellion. David Bellion was dog shit. Bebe was dog shit. Gabriel Obertan. Oh my Lord. Eric Jemba. Oh my God. What a useless sack of shite he was. Any one of those. Pick any one of them. We've had some fucking howlers in our time, haven't we? We have had, as United fans, we have had some players where every once in a while you look and you go, how the fuck do we end up with this? Maybe, to be honest with you, maybe there's a case for saying that the worst player, rather than like Obertan or Jemba, who were just, proper... I mean, how much did we pay for Obertan? Like 2 million quid? It's just a gamble, isn't it? And we sold him on for more. Maybe there's a case to say that the worst Man United player of all time is somebody like Sanchez or Ramadel Falcao or Di Maria. No, actually, I've got sympathy for Di Maria. But with somebody like Sanchez, we spent more on a month's wages for Sanchez than we did on the transfer fees for Obertan and Jemba and fucking David Bellion. Do you know what I mean? So maybe there's something to say that when you look at the cost versus the performance, you'd be hard pushed to beat Sanchez. Really hard push. I think he might be our worst signing, him or Falcao. But at least Falcao was coming back from an injury. Fuck. Maybe Sanchez. The more I think about it, maybe Alexis Sanchez was the worst United player that I've ever seen. Not because I think he's the least talented, but because for the money and the expectation, I can't think of anybody. Like, nobody, when we signed Gabriel Obertan, nobody was like, oh, we've got a world beater here. It was always meant to be like a little punt, And Laurent Blanc, I kind of agree with. Sanchez, I agree with. Veron, I do not agree with Veron. Veron was a great player. We made a profit on him. But it actually, right, and this is a fucking pet peeve of mine when people say Veron was shite, right? He was not shite. He had some incredible performances for United, but it coincided with United switching to a 4-2-3-1 formation under Ferguson, and he hadn't worked out the kind of mechanics. The thing with Veron is that it was as much about tactically trying to bring him into the team and not getting the best out of him, rather than his performances, and we sold him off as a profit. I won't say that Veron was a success, not by any means, but he's not the failure that people like to make him out to believe. Let's quickly see. Electronaut says, do we all think that... Sorry, I'm just doing something disgusting with my ear. Do we all think that Lingard's played his last game for us? Not in the squad and more frequently omitted now. I fucking pray that he has played all that. I don't think he has, to be honest with you. I think he'll pop up in a fucking Carabao Cup game or something like that, and we'll all talk about, he's got 45 minutes against fucking Darlington or something like that. I think he needs to be shown the door, if nothing else, but to resurrect his own career. He's weak, is Jesse Lingard. He's not been of the level required for a Man United player for some time, and without being horrible, his attitude hasn't been where I would expect a Man United player's attitude to be for some time either. I think he has been phoning it in and taking it for granted, and quite frankly, I think it should be a case of he needs to be shown the door, and he needs to be set an example of, listen, you're here to fucking play for Man United. You're not here to grow your Instagram following. You're not here to brand yourself as J Lings. You're not here to fucking sell clothing and launch a fucking clothing line the week after we got battered by City or Liverpool or whoever it was. You're not here to do this and to try and get this trending. You're not a fucking hashtag. You're a player. Oh my God, he just epitomises this social media generation of player that I cannot stand. Whereas you look at somebody like Van der Beek, who's come to work, got his head down, not complained, and has taken up the number of his dead mate from Ajax Academy, and you just think, well, what a nice guy he turns out to be. Rashford as well, and all the stuff that he's done matter. I want more players like that, less players that dick around on Instagram. Rant over. Sorry, that was meant to be a mic drop, but I did that, and it looked like I was like doing some sort of sea dance. So let's see here. Next graph says, sorry, I don't like upcoming young lads. They always disappoint. Lennon, Makeda, Townsend, Welbeck, Martial, Zaha. I'm over with young lad bursting into the scene. You ain't Ronaldo, you ain't Rooney. Loan them. Right, where to unpack this? For a start, Martial is a really good player, so you can take his name off that list. Secondly, Zaha needed a little longer to develop. Zaha was really unlucky in that he came into a United team when it was in transition, and Moyes, for whatever reason, brackets, Zaha fucked his daughter, probably, close brackets, didn't fancy him, and that really stunted his growth and development. You look at Zaha now, he's one of the best players that doesn't play for a top 6 team. Lennon, Makeda, Townsend, Welbeck, I agree with all those, to be honest with you, but Mason Greenwood, far Federico Makeda had one game against Aston Villa where he made a great turn, scored the winning goal with a fucking beauty, and everyone jizzed themselves. Mason Greenwood has had 12 months. Mason Greenwood scored more goals last season than Danny Welbeck ever scored in a season. So you can't lump him in with those players. I admit, next graph, I hold my hands up that sometimes football fans, and United were no different, a player comes through the ranks and we all jizz our pants and think that they're better than they are. Greenwood is not that case. Greenwood has had a sustained a period of great form where he's looked like one of the world's best young players. Enough for us to turn around and say that he is. He's one of the best young players in the world. Electronaut says Ralph Milne was a bad player for us. And he was a very early Fergie signing. Yeah, well, even the best can get them wrong, can't they? Gavin has said, are you on Paddock later? I'm not on Paddock later. I am, for those of you that don't know, I'm a professional stand-up comic during the day and stuff, and so comedy is just starting to get back now, and I'm gigging in Derby this weekend, and the timings won't work out as well. Also, they didn't ask. The thing is with Paddock is they have us on as guests. I love the lads behind it. They're really nice people, and I admire what they do. Like, their studio and the way that they approach things is, inspiring to me, and I'm more than happy to come on and help them whenever they want, but I'm not going to hassle and harangue them because they've got their own projects and stuff like that. Electro Notch. Next graph says Kieran Richardson. How can we forget that thing? Oh my God. To be fair to Kieran Richardson, he had a very good career for being an absolutely dogshit player. Yeah, he probably got shitloads of money signing on fees. He's played for about 20 clubs. Piano Poo says, never forgave Sir Alex Ferguson for selling Veron at the same time as Becks. Oh my God, what a rebuilding year that was. Electronaut says, go back and look at Veron's abundant assists and key passes. One Pogba-style mistake in a league game that cost us a goal, and some people use that to call him a failure. No way. I'm the same, right? I am a huge believer in players that were born in the wrong era. So you look at somebody, for example, David Beckham is a really good example of a player that was born in the wrong era. David Beckham was somebody who was blessed with being able to pass a ball at long range, and so naturally he went out on the right-hand side, despite the fact he was never the quickest. I think if you had David Beckham coming up in the modern game, he'd be a central player, possibly even a defensive player who had like a Pirlo range of passing. I'm fascinated by how being born in a certain era or playing in a certain era influences how you become a footballer. And I think with Veron, he will be a player who nowadays massively excels. I think he's very much the modern game player that plied his trade a bit too early. I'm a fan of his personally. I think we weren't ready for him tactically, but we sold him on as a profit. I don't think that you can say any different than that. Let's see. Next graph says, if you are a Madrid manager and Greenwood is in your team, would you start him? Probably not until he's 23 and experienced. I mean, where does 23 come from? He's experienced now. He's an experienced player. I don't want another Rashford. Why? I'd fucking love another Rashford. Marcus Rashford is a great player. I'd love to have another Rashford. Local Log giving chances over trophies. What does that mean, giving chances over trophies? I don't understand why you've got this. Right, so if I'm the Real Madrid manager, Greenwood is getting as many games. In fact, Greenwood, to me, if I'm Real Madrid manager, Greenwood starts over Rodrigo. He starts over Vinicius Jr. He starts over Asensio. I think Greenwood's better than all those players. I don't know what your problem with Greenwood is. Let's quickly get up Greenwood's stats. I don't know exactly off the top of my head what his stats are, but I reckon they're great. Right, hang about. Mason Greenwood stats. Okay. So yeah, when you say he's not experienced, in the Premier League last season, he played 31 games and got himself 10 goals. how much more experienced do you want him to be? He's just turned 19. He turned 19 this month. Yeah, he got 17 goals in all competitions last season. He got 5 goals in Europe. He's not experienced. What? What is this guy chatting? I don't know, man. I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with you. But to get double figures in your first Premier League season and to score 5 in Europe, I think that that's a great return. He's nominated for Golden Boy. He's a great player. Psycho says, what minute do you reckon United will get their obligatory penalty? Yeah, Penchester United have been running lucky, haven't we? I don't reckon we'll get a penalty in this game. I think it's going to be a very tight affair. I haven't even suggested as to how this might run. I think it's going to be a very tight affair. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and I think it's going to end up either 1-1 or 2-1 to United. That's what I'm going to go for. The reason being is because I think that if we play with that many people at the back, I think it limits how many people we can push forward. I also think that Chelsea are going to be naturally cagey. They're going to play Jorginho and Kovacic, who are going to sit back and disrupt the game a bit more. And also, PSG made it easy for us. PSG, their front players didn't press. They weren't up for it. You know what I mean? They just didn't fucking harangue us like you need to get on top of a United team. And I think that we won't get that with Chelsea. I think that they will really push us. I'm thinking 2-1 United. Maybe even a 1-1 draw. Much more tightly contested affair. Gavin Stockill says, how did Paddock seem to make a profit? Seems like there's so much overhead for them. They deserve way more views, in my opinion. Can't stand the AFTV type fan channels. Yeah, I know what you mean. First of all, I agree with what you're saying. And one of the great things about the lads over at Stretford Paddock is that they actively go against the grain of, like big reactions and stuff like that. It's just sad. You get grown men screaming at each other. Like, we ain't been the same since Henri, fam. It's like, oh, come on. You're 36, you've got a mortgage and kids. How are you that arsed about this? The thing with those reaction things is that the reaction always has to be bigger every time for the views. And so they get themselves in this weird state of perpetual motion where they have to scream louder and louder and become more indignant every week. And it's just ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? How's he starting Xhaka again? Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm going to fucking lose my mind. Are you? Are you really? Or are you just going to watch the game and shut the fuck up? Eh? Paddock make a profit through YouTube, through donations as well, Patreons, super chat donations, which by the way you can super chat donate to me if you want, but subscribers as well, and selling YouTube advertising and stuff like that. They do well, Gavin. I wouldn't worry about them, and also as well they reinvest a lot back into the channel. Like I say, I'm a big fan. Next graph says he takes his word back on Veron. Good for you, pal. It takes a big man to admit that they might have been wrong about something. Good for you. Personal opinion, though, he says, I don't like Rashford, Greenwood and Lingard. I just don't like them, sorry. Yeah, I got it, mate. I felt it. I felt it in your bones. No EPL trophy. Yeah, but is that their fault? Rashford's 22. Greenwood's 19. Is it their fault they haven't won a Premier League trophy yet? Stats and goals don't lie. No, and both of their stats and goals are really quite impressive. He might be good, but you can't have him. You can't have 11 Zidane in the same team, so you can't have the same type. I think, yeah. I mean, I know what you're saying there, but Rashford and Greenwood are two complementary strikers. Do you know what I mean? They're predatory and they can take up wide positions. I think there is room for them in that team. AFTV is pantomime TV, more like nursery TV, Electrolux calls it. Electronotch, I should say. yeah, it's just done for reactions, isn't it? There's no... I'm going to start doing more of these if you want them. And if you do want them, by the way, then subscribe to the channel and click the notifications. I also do loads of comedy stuff. I've got stand-up comedy, 12 minutes of material that I filmed to 12 people in a barn in Anglesey, going out tomorrow. Stuff's free to watch, and obviously I appreciate the views and stuff because I'm trying to grow this. I'm a comedian first and foremost, but I fucking love football. I will do more football stuff if there's a demand for it. If I can see that people are engaging, liking, commenting, I'll do more stuff. Anyway, I'm going to close this out because it's been nearly an hour. That is how I would love to see United line up. Realistically, I think we are probably going to see Maguire in for Tuanzebe. And I think we might even see Solskjaer pussy out and do a 4-2-3-1. I hope he plays this formation. I hope that Fred starts to give a bit more dynamism to this midfield. That's what I'm hoping for. Prediction-wise, I'm going to go with 1-1 or 2-1 to Manchester United. Fingers crossed. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. Let me know what you think in the comments.